Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening, wherever you are on our unexpected and amazing planet.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, this is a pre-record, of course. It's going to air in July.
So when you're hearing it, hello. You'll be
Yes.
hearing it in real time for you, but we're recording it in June.
And here we are, and this is unexpected. The air outside our home is so filled with smoke from.
You can actually smell it in here. We have, luckily, some
Air purifiers
going, which is great.
But I look outside. We have a big slider from our office onto a back deck, and so I'm looking out at the trees back there, and it's filtered through a haze of yellowish smoke that has come down from Canada because of the forest fires there, and it is an unexpected event.
It is interesting because I had several outdoor plans for today and tomorrow and whatnot. I realize if I need to run errands, I will wear a mask because there's so much particulate matter in the air. But I have been meeting this particular unexpected situation as if it's my idea, that this is my idea to be here confined, basically.
Confined with me.
Yeah.
Basically.
In our house, and we've actually accomplished and completed a lot of things today that we might let go until later in the week.
Right. So it's been a interesting,
it's a
smoke-filled day.
Yes. It's interesting when you meet something surprising, like walking into a room that smells like you have a smoky chimney coming into the room unexpectedly. Then you either meet that or you spend a lot of time complaining about it because it's not what you would prefer. So today's an opportunity to disengage from all the things you would prefer and the things you wouldn't prefer, and really engage with your ears to hear what's happening. And as you engage,
the other thing is engage with your eyes to see what's happening in your life, not to find fault with or complain about, but to be where you are. This thing called being alive, this is an opportunity to experience your life in this moment as it's showing up. And it doesn't show up like you expect. From time to time, it shows up. In fact, most of the time it shows up like it shows up, whether you expect it to be that way or not. So you can either discover how to meet your life as it's showing up, or you can be normal and complain about it to yourself. Not that that will make any difference at all in the final outcome, except you won't be very happy with your life. Give you choices here. Happy, unhappy. Unhappy, accept, allow, and be with. Unhappy, complain about. Got any other choices, Ariel?
No, but I'm recalling that when we were speaking, if you listened to last week's show, we spoke with Sandy and last week's podcast, Sandy and Francisca. And when we were done recording, we were chatting with Francisca, and she was talking about how our entire family lives in a bubble of possibility that's created by transformation and the three principles of instantaneous transformation. The first being anything you don't want, don't like, resist, wish would be different.
You're stuck with that.
Yes, you're stuck there.
It becomes the screen through which you view life. It becomes the complaint that lives you rather than having a full life in the current time.
And then the second principle is that life shows up exactly as it does. Or another way of saying it is no two things can occupy the same space at the same time.
Or no two things can occupy you at the same time. So you can either be lost in a complaint about life not being the way you expected it, or you can be there for your life.
Third principle, anything you see and allow to be exactly as it is Complete yourself.
or it loses its power over your life in the current moment. So if you're complaining about something from the past, because anything you're complaining about has got to be from the past because it's happened already and you don't like it and you wish it were different.
So one of the things Francisca was talking about in this magic of her home is, of course, her son still is on the autism spectrum. But as there were situations that would develop in her home that she would resist and she would be having difficulty with, her husband would say to her, Francisca, be in the moment. No two things can occupy you at the same time. And as she said it, it was clear. He said it to her with so much kindness, and she was willing to listen. It wasn't like, okay, fine, don't tell me that. I know that. There's a difference between knowing and experiencing. And when it was clear that when she heard it, it dissolved it for her. It was the
thread
that unraveled the
feed sack.
Yes, unraveled it. So how about we take our first guest?
Okay.
All right, Miss Mary. Speaking of unexpected, we get to meet you unexpectedly. We weren't expecting to have you with us today, but our
other guest
had a family emergency,
had an unexpected event
that
she had to deal with.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. This is Mary from Brooklyn, New York. And while I was thinking about what I might talk about, the topic of my son came up. And
well, this is not your most favorite topic, is it?
No, it is not.
In fact, this is a demonstration of the first principle of instantaneous transformation.
But I do have a suspicion, Mary, that while your relationship with your son or your son's activities or how he relates to you is not your favorite subject, it is something that preoccupies you a considerable amount of the time. It's kind of like your go-to screensaver when things are at rest. Yeah.
Yes. Even if I'm not consciously thinking about him, there's just something in the background. And I guess lately, he's been on my mind more.
Well, has he contacted you?
No. And sometimes...
Okay. I have a question.
Okay.
How's your art going? You're an exquisite jewelry maker.
Not so much the making, but getting it moved out into the world. How's that going?
Well, it's actually going a little better in that the one shop in Brooklyn that she's consistently bought from me, she maybe orders 3-4 times a year. She ordered in April, and then I got a text in May saying, I need more bracelets, or an email. And so it's going better. And what I found was when I would be trying to work, I would have pain in my back and I would have to get up more often. But I found a massage therapist who uses trigger point in my neighborhood, and she hit one muscle on my abdomen, and it's like, whoa, that made a huge difference. And then she was, working all over my body, and I just physically felt so much better. So now I can sit.
Great. That's great. But you see, here's the thing, Mary. For some reason, which I don't quite get yet, you are having your son be a problem rather than a fact. So if we talk about preferences.
Mm-hmm.
Your son is your son the way he is. I don't know him. I've never met him, and I'm not interested in trying to fix him or change him.
Mm-hmm.
But you are.
Yes, I was thinking about that this morning.
Because what you resist dominates your thought processes. And like you say, you were thinking about that this morning. So tell me.
Yeah. Well, he's a he's an intelligent and so many good qualities. But my relationship with him is he's not kind. But he also fits the dynamic of the family history. I mean, he's like the other men in the family. And so in that sense, it's consistent, but
Well, but so I ask, what is the attraction to fixing him? What is your need to go and engage in a conversation with yourself about what you could have, should have, would have done better
Or
if you
would
had been a better parent?
would like to change now if you could.
yeah, yeah. I would like to
Yeah,
have.
isn't the answer.
Pardon?
No,
Yeah
it's
is not the
we're
answer.
not asking you what you would like to change if you could. We're asking you what that conversation does for you. What does it save you from? What is it a placeholder for?
Because you're using your son as a way to stop your forward momentum wherever it's going. So it's like no two things can occupy Mary at the same time, right?
Right.
Mary, quite contrary. How does your garden grow? I'm not going any further with that. But in any event, you're using your son as the occupier of your awareness in the current moment. And I wonder what purpose that serves.
One thought came to me is it's like a protection
From
from people, from men. I don't have to, I mean, I engage with people, but I don't have to.
I find that interesting, the men thing, because you used men, that word men had it was like a curse word.
Men.
It was like men, like the bad people. Well, and then you talk about your son is like all the other men in your family.
Might I just update your reality about men in your family?
Yes.
Because I happen to know Andy, who your
son-in-law,
and he does not fit that mold.
No, he does not.
But you included him in all the men in your family.
Yes. And
but here's the thing, though, my friend, really, is that if you don't challenge that story in yourself, you will begin to require Andy to start showing up like all these other men, because that's how men in your family are.
Yeah. He has when I'm off, he has called me out on it more than once.
Well, that's because you pretend to be off, and he gets stuck there with you in your quote off space.
When really, what if everything we do is on purpose?
Everything we do is on purpose. You see, all of us, including you.
Let's leave you alone for a minute. Just because this is we often go into this cul-de-sac with you about your son. This is a story that you've held on to for a long time. From time to time over the span of our career, there have been individuals that have populated our lives, whether it's family members, people who we've worked with. At one point, it was our landlord up when we were renting in Woodstock, who have been a placeholder for disagreement. And what I began to discover is that I only brought forward or had the need for a placeholder for disagreement when I was not fully engaged in my life, or I was avoiding something creative that was an endeavor of ours, or I didn't know how to do something next, or even if I was just bored, if I don't know what to do with myself, I always had at least one or two back then, people that I could wish my relationship was different, or I could complain about.
Well, so I'm brought back to something else though. What is it that you want from your son? Because clearly how he is what you use to disturb yourself with, as though he should be different than he is. And I have a question for you right now, though. In this moment, Mary dear, could you be different than you are right now?
No.
Well, could anybody be different than they are right now?
No.
Then could he be different than he is right now?
No.
So all your complaints about how he is like complaining that there's smoke outside. It doesn't change the fact that there's smoke outside. It's just smoky.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, what is the payoff? What is the big ticket item that you get out of having a problem with him being the way he is?
Okay, I think it distracts me from not knowing how to proceed with my jewelry making. With my life.
With your life, yes. Not just your jewelry making is only one aspect of your life.
I mean, it is one of the places where you have creative endeavor, but I'd be willing to bet, when you're looking at, gosh, should I go to the store today? I really need to buy something. Can the grocery store wait till tomorrow? I mean, he can pop in there to save you from even looking at
what you need to buy.
Yeah. That's
not him that pops in there. It's your constant disagreement with men.
When we
because you said men, I got it.
Yeah, I really see that.
And it's not that you are interested in women. That's not the point. You just have a story about men as being the problem. Where'd you get that story anyway? When you came up with how terrible men are.
Oh, I was probably very, very young.
Yes.
Probably, I don't know, 6, maybe even younger.
That number,
maybe 3.
Yeah, it's a good number. Those are good numbers.
Yeah, it was probably baked in, but by 6, you had a really good grasp of it.
And you absorb. Look, I remember being a kid and hearing my mother talk about people. And I took on her point of view about those people.
Mm-hmm.
You learned from a probably very suppressed female part of your family that men were not the good guys.
And they weren't worth listening to.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I should shut up now.
Hmm?
I should shut up now. Because hear it from Ariel. She interprets for me.
I do.
I speak English, but then she interprets my English so people like you can hear it, because he's just this nasty old man.
But the thing is, I have a complex mind, so I can pull things. Shia says things that, in my experience, he's pulling from the moment, and he sees it. He feels it, he knows it, he hears it, he experiences it. And then I can pull from an array of files, the evidence. And in this one, our last book, Being Here Too, as in TOO, we invited a number of people to write chapters about their experience of transformation. And we compiled them along with some of our experiences of transformation. And so there are lots of different chapters from lots of different people who were expressing themselves. And one of them was your daughter, Leah. And she was talking about how she and Andy, now your son-in-law, then her boyfriend, were having a conversation. And at some point she noticed that his face just fell. And she's like, what happened? And he said, this is a truncated version of the chapter. Every time I spoke, you spoke over me, and you've done that before. And I figured, as Shya just said, I should just shut up. And she realized she hadn't been listening to him, that she had shut him out, and she stopped and she apologized and she really listened. I'm certain that Leah was dipped in the same cultural dye as you. Mm-hmm. Should you wish, you're absolutely capable of including that's your enculturation and stepping into something unexpected and new.
I want to talk about something else for a moment.
Yes.
I want to talk about Franziska, this lovely lady from Hamburg, Germany, who gave birth to an autistic child.
They adopted
him. They adopted, excuse me.
Knowing he was autistic.
Right.
Special needs, they adopted him.
They adopted him, right. I'm wrong there, but I stand corrected.
It was super cool.
But they have not normalized him, but normalized him by being with him.
They've normalized themselves around him, and he no longer needs to express himself.
Outbursts. So he is his story is an amazing transformation, but she is not trying to prove that men are wrong. And your son is just off fighting the dragons of his own life. You see, he's got his own baggage. He's doing whatever he's doing, and it's got nothing to do with you.
I have a question for you, Mary. How long have you lived in Brooklyn now? How long ago did you move?
Almost 2 years.
Because before you sold your home in Minneapolis, and I recall being on a conversation with you where you were complaining about your son, and I realized that you're working on him in your thoughts is keeping him the same. You don't give him the opportunity to transform.
Right.
Because as you resist how you recall him to be, because I don't know how long it's been since you've spoken to him or texted or gotten a letter from him, but I'm assuming it's been a period of time. Mm-hmm. So as Shya said earlier, and you likely didn't hear, you're working on the past. You have no clue how he is in this moment of time, but you're working on how he was requires him to be that way in this moment in time. You actually, across the ethos, can pull him into being that way as opposed to letting him find his own way.
But in order for him to find his way, you need to find your way. See, you need to discover who Mary is, not in opposition to anything. But your life has been led mostly in opposition to other people, like parents.
Yeah, you're absolutely accurate. Yeah.
Your response is an acknowledgement of the accuracy of what I just said.
How so?
Well, she laughed when I said parents.
Yeah.
And that laugh was a laugh of recognition. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've been there, done it. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Mary, darling, here's the thing. You haven't done anything wrong. Really. It's been a perfect life. But you could still enjoy living however long you live.
I don't have any biological children. I'm a stepchild. I did have stepchildren, one of whom has now passed away. And I recognize the enculturated burden of putting the expectation on oneself that it should all look like a television family. When a lot of families don't shape up to be that way.
Most families don't shape up to be that way. Those are, they have screenwriters that write stories. Your daughter's writing a
screenplay, right?
A screenplay right now, as a matter of fact. But that writes stories about these idyllic families without without the people who have drinking problems and drug problems and relationship problems, the ideal family, everybody's happy all the time. Archie Barnes.
Or if they're not happy, at least they resolve it in a half hour.
Right.
Because right. A half hour, they have conflict, and at the end, it's all good.
And it's funny.
And it's funny, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
I see something cool happening for you, and you just haven't applied it yet to your son. There was a while there where you used a positive thing as a placeholder to be in front of Mary's life. When your granddaughter Maggie was born and you were so enamored with her, and you did, of course, a lot of babysitting for them, it was almost impossible to have a conversation with you where it wasn't Maggie this, Maggie that. You'd refer to her in times where it wasn't. She was just like your go-to conversation to do what you just said, defend you from the intimacy of the moment, not just with men, in general. And I remember you came to Camp Tecumseh with us, and we gave you a game. Let's see if you cannot talk about Maggie, because she wasn't there, for this entire weekend. Let's see what happens. I think you probably found that request kind of annoying. But if you take a look at that, you can see how you're wired to put something between you and this moment. Back then, it was like, oh, Maggie does this cute thing, which is fun to hear because we all love Maggie and she's cute. But then we never saw you. So now it's my son. So it doesn't matter which side of the coin, whether it's the I'm stuck with something negative or the other side, I'm stuck with something positive. You pull things that aren't here to put in front of you to save you
from being here.
I see that.
And
well, but my dear, it's nothing. If you see that, start celebrating.
But here's what's
because that's the key to not doing that, is by allowing yourself to see it, experience it, so it completes itself. But you judge it as a negative, and so it stays in place because what you judge stays in place.
But here's the exciting thing. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't see you any less in love with Maggie as you were at the beginning. I don't think you've gotten used to her now. I'm certain that she does things that are so delightful or funny or remind you of Leah or 1,000 things. But you've discovered how to let go of that. So when so you can bring it up. People are interested in your grandchild, so you can bring it up, but you don't have to anymore. If you can manage that, you can manage the other, which is using a quote negative thing to be between you and the world.
Cool. That's very cool.
It is very cool. I'm excited. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't see that before.
Me neither. Thank you. It was unexpected. Seriously. I didn't come in here and go, oh yeah, Mary, I know. Yeah, it was something that evolved. So thank you for being here. And thank you for giving that as a gift to everybody, because
because you're not alone out there in your creating mischief to avoid your greatness.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for stepping into that. A kiss to you too.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Now it's your turn. Let's hear what one of you listeners has to say about being here in the transformation community.
Hi, I'm Dave. I'm in Winnipeg, which is in Canada. I get real serious about my life sometimes, focused on doing it right. And transformation has given me the option to just have fun and recognize that I can't do it wrong.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Our Living Made Easy 2-hour Zoom seminars are happening throughout the summer. They don't happen every Monday and Saturday or always on a Tuesday evening for the European community. We've mixed it up a little bit. So simply go to transformationmadeeasy.com and you can find our full schedule at least through September. We have several weekend seminars coming up.
The first one
is in person.
And it's in August, and it's in New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, actually. It's called Creativity and Intuition. It's August 4th and 5th at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center.
Yes, and don't let Newark throw you. This is a really lovely area where the Performing Arts Center is. There's lots of parks and beautiful businesses and restaurants. I'm excited that we're going there. It's the 4th, 5th, and 6th, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday.
And then we're doing a course at Camp Tecumseh, which is out here in
rural New Jersey.
Really rural New Jersey. And it's called the Freedom to Breathe, which we don't want to do here today because the air is full of pollutants, and the art of being a healer. But we'll do that everywhere. In any event, it's a sleepaway camp for big kids. And,
and as Mary was talking about trigger point and how her body feels so different, our entire business and our approach to life and technology really blossomed out of Shya work. Prior to moving into this, Shya had created a hands-on healing type of body work that was just so effective. And then we looked to see what else was possible. We discovered that he could put his hand on somebody and be talking to a group of people while holding someone's knee, for instance. And just while talking, that knee pain that had been there for years would disappear and other people would feel well at the same time. It's part and parcel of this course. If you have an interest in body work, I really recommend you come to be in his presence for this because he's an astounding healer. And as I say that, I'm not discounting myself. The Freedom to Breathe is kind of my bailiwick, and I have, over the years, it has also evolved to be simpler and easier and more profound. So that is October the 20th, 21st, and 22nd, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. It's an overnight at the camp, and you're invited.
And then we're doing Reclaiming Your Sense of Wonder. We were talking to Mary about Maggie, who's about 2 years old now. And everything for Maggie is wonder. She sees a cat and she goes crazy, or a dog. I mean, it's like, oh my, something new, We lost our sense of wonder as children. And
by age 6.
We think being cool is better than getting excited about things, and then becomes a lifestyle, and pretty soon you forget that there was ever a wonder in your life.
So that's a virtual seminar, November 18th, 19th. It will be translated into German, so just to make it available for the wider community. You can find out about that, or Costa Rica.
That's January where I was going.
2024. All of our courses are available
online at
transformationmadeeasy.com. Let's take our guess.
Easy is the important thing.
It is the important thing. And easily, we're calling in Karen now. Hey, Karen.
Hi there. I'm Karen. Hi, I'm Karen calling in from Cologne in Germany.
Yes.
Nice. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I listened to you guys and Mary to your conversation, and what I really loved is how something unexpected can also be a placeholder. I don't know, that resonated with me. So I have very recently been diagnosed with a blood disease, with a chronic blood disease, and that was truly unexpected, you know. And so on the one hand, I see many things just miraculously fall into place, like appointments with doctors and scheduling things. And my husband Lutz and I are just a great team in, managing our lives now with this new unexpected part in it. And at the same time, I recently feel that I have a lot of self-deprecating thoughts, more than I usually do. And I don't say that I don't pick on myself, or that I didn't before. That is, something that, yeah, I wanted to bring to your attention, because I've
As far as your self-deprecating thoughts go, you've always had self-deprecating thoughts.
And for a while,
right.
it's kind of like getting cold sores, a herpes virus.
Okay.
I've had cold sores on my lips since I'm a kid. If I get under a lot of stressors, whether it is, physical stress, I've gotten too much sun, I can suddenly get an unexpected outburst. The virus is living in my system.
So your self-deprecating thoughts are always available to you, but no two things can occupy Karen at the same time. And when you have something like an illness that shocks your system, then those self-deprecating thoughts just come to the surface again, because you are no longer engaged in your normal day-to-day, which has slipped them off to the side somewhere.
I mean, you could treat it like you're cleaning out your junk drawer. Oh, look, I had some that I missed.
That's right.
Like that. Yeah, that's a cool idea. Right.
I also think it's more convenient in a certain respect to have a self-deprecating thought, like, oh, some of the typical ones people have are like, oh, I should lose weight, or I should make more money, or something. Those are two, or my kids, blah, blah, blah. That might be more convenient to have the self-deprecating thought, rather than to have to sit in the unknown of the procedures that are coming ahead and how you're going to feel. And because this blood disease is going to require you to have chemo, correct? Because it's a type.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would think that, you've survived those forever. Those
they've been your friend, actually.
Right.
Alone, you had those self-deprecating thoughts to hang out with.
Yeah. And then they may have been really bad, but you woke up the next morning, you were still here. So at least they're not life-threatening, they're just uncomfortable.
Very cool. I never looked at it from that perspective. Right.
And it doesn't matter how many times your doctor say, hey, this is a good diagnosis.
It doesn't mean that your mind, which is a survival machine, doesn't go crazy with the idea that you have a potentially deadly disease.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So today I had a, full day in my office, and I just handled a lot of things, just, a pile of paper and just one thing after the other. And that did me really good. But as soon as I stop, when I go idle, my mind goes crazy.
Well,
really.
I would go idle.
And
how do you mean?
I'll tell you what I mean. What?
I love it.
Yeah. Not as a way of avoiding your self-deprecating thoughts, as a way of experiencing what happens when you go on idle. So those thoughts come up, experience them, don't resist them, see them, feel them, don't try to get rid of them, and they'll lose their power over you. But if you're trying to get rid of them, and if you're experiencing them to get rid of them, they'll stick around. So it's just a matter of taking a breath, and relax and feel what you're feeling and see what your mind is saying and just let it be. You know that Beatles song?
Let it be.
Let it be. Let it be.
Let it be.
Mother Mary came to me and said, let it be. You know, see
Right.
it, allow it, feel it, and it'll complete itself to whatever degree it does. But it will not be this thing that you are avoiding, because if you avoid it, it will stick around.
Right. Yeah.
I have one other thing to say to you. We're around you when you were getting close to getting a diagnosis for this blood disease. When you got the diagnosis, you came to Living Made Easy directly after them having done a bone biopsy, and they got in the core, and they, so that they could make sure what was what. You described it in great detail. It was very illuminating, and you were really here. And there's nothing wrong with you if from time to time you have a different experience of this disease. I think you think if you have a moment where you are frightened or
upset
or concerned or worried, that's weird. And you should have this centered, a good
transformer person
is now always centered, rather than allowing the concerns to come up, being willing to see them, being willing to talk to Lutz about it. Hey, Lutz, I just had this really weird idea.
I've been ill for a while.
Right. Yeah.
On a second course of antibiotics to kill off a bug that I got when I visited a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And the middle of the night last night, I woke up thinking about it. And it was disturbing. I should be over being disturbed by worrying about my future.
But it's really,
because that's what I teach.
When that happens, he'll wake me up, or if it's during the day, he'll say, Ariel, I'm having thoughts that are like depressive thoughts, or that I can't believe I'm getting frail, or if you back up to what we talk about at the very beginning, not today, but in general,
listening.
Shya, aside from listening, Shya got a degree in anthropology, and our entire approach is anthropological. So that is, as a scientist, you're looking at a culture and how it works and how it's put together. And you get to see these thoughts go by without having to jump into them. So it's like if you suddenly find yourself fearful, you can say, I'm discovered, I'm feeling fearful, I'm having fearful thoughts, or I'm distracted, or, Shya and I both have long COVID. I definitely think that a transformed person shouldn't have gotten long COVID.
That's right.
I regularly coach people who have it, like Heike, who has had a very significant case, and I have no judgments about them. I have a different standard for myself. And so there are times where I just have to notice how I am and say, hey, I'm feeling very fatigued.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Actually, yesterday I had a pretty bad day, and I talked to it with my husband Lutz, and I was scared, and I had a couple of I had another appointment with a doctor, and there are just a couple of things. It's a lot on the plate, and Lutz just hugged me and said, "Karen, that's okay," and he was so sweet and loving.
Well, look, Karen, I'm 82 years old, and occasionally I take a nap, and I think I shouldn't.
Okay. Okay.
What was really cool? Shai was laying down. I think while you were laying down, he was listening to an article because he gets some of our articles read to him by Apple News. It was about elite athletes, elite basketball players, how part of their training is to take naps every day. And he's like, they take naps every day. It was very fun because it validates our naps.
Oh, cool. That's great news. Yeah.
Really, it is. It's okay to be the way you are in the current moment, because that is the way you are, my dear. And right now, you're doing really good. And a bad day yesterday is just a trace memory because you resisted what showed up. It became, if you embraced it, it wouldn't have been so bad. It would have been, just another day.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're
That's
looking
true.
lovely. These Zoom things are good because I can see you, you see.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm
Go ahead.
no, I'm feeling good today. I really do.
Well, one of the things is you're feeling you have this blood disease. I can't begin to say the name of it because it's not in my language, but even if I could,
it wouldn't be in your language.
But you started to research what was wrong because you weren't feeling well. And it's interesting. I'm not sure you always feel better now, but because you've researched until you got your answer in a course of action, now that you're here, it's like there's something very radiant about you, Karen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel somehow like now knowing what it is, it's just very supportive of doing one thing after the other and moving towards feeling better and getting healthy.
Well, you say, see, I don't know that that's accurate. You spent
What do you mean?
You spent a weekend with us last weekend,
Yes.
or a week before that, or whatever it was when we were in Hamburg. And now you're doing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing rather than thinking about it. That's a result of your getting into the moment. And that's the way you operate when you're in the moment, where you look and see what's needed and you produce it. You just keep doing what's needed when you look in front of you. Well, you've been doing that. But I think it started over the weekend. Not that I'm going for
That's so true.
but I'm just saying that the weekend seminars they tend to pull you into the current moment of your life. And when you get in the current moment, you just look and see what's needed and wanted, and you produce it. And you don't argue with yourself, oh, I got to change that light bulb, maybe next week. You just do it.
That is that. No, sorry. Go ahead.
Just one other thing.
She was going to say that it's true, though.
Okay, go ahead, say that.
It's so true.
Go ahead.
Hamburg, the workshop in Hamburg, or the seminar in Hamburg was so powerful. And also Lutz, my husband, came and he continues to say, Hamburg was so powerful for me, and we see like as individuals, but also as a couple, it brought us so much closer and we are so much more in sync and just handling things. It was really, really powerful.
Yeah, well, without any force.
That's true.
I want to tell you one other thing I admire you for, and I'm saying it because I think there are people listening who haven't honed this skill set that you are currently doing quite easily. We spoke with you when we were in Hamburg, and you were looking at coming to Costa Rica with us in January. And your course of treatment should be done by December. But what I admire about you is you looked and you said, I really want to go. I noticed today, right as we were getting ready to record this, that you registered, and I believe even paid in full. Like you just said, I'm doing this. You didn't wait to see how it turned out before you stated your intention. Like it's so
you looked, saw what you wanted, and went for it. rather than
I'll wait and see how this progresses.
how the circumstances dictate what I do with my life. And I'm inspired by that too, you see, because I've had some physical challenges recently, and it's really easy to fall into, well,
wait and see.
If my body lets me, then we're going to Canada next week. We're going to Canada next week, and my body's coming along for the ride, you see.
Hamburg too, and he got unexpectedly he got a bacterial infection. He'd been in the hospital briefly,
and they gave me some antibiotics that killed off my internal bacterial system in my gut,
and then a whole other one took over, and he was really sick. So we flew to Germany on a Tuesday.
But Monday, I wasn't sure I would be able to go. I was so sick.
And then I ended up going, I will go one way or the other. And I researched flights for him to go out on Thursday. He would have missed the Freedom to Breathe day. But by Tuesday morning, the antibiotics had taken over well enough that he was well enough to go. But we just kept meeting it. And what we kept doing was letting go of our preferences, which I actually feel gave him the best shot at making it. I mean, clearly it was our preference. He was well. And then the secondary preference is we could go there together. And of course, that's what happened. But yeah, and then that particular antibiotic didn't totally handle it. So he had to start a whole other course once we got back. So, but the timing was really good.
Yeah.
He waited to start getting sick again until he got home. It was good.
Look, the timing always works out the way it does.
Yeah.
It may not be the way you would prefer it, but
yeah, I can see that.
I know you say you have a chronic blood disease, and it's serious enough that they're going to do some pretty intensive. But I've never seen you look so healthy.
That's right.
You look beautiful.
Thank you. I have to say, I've been working in quotes with you for like 15 years, and I'm so grateful for going to the gym, of being in the moment, for such a long time, because I can feel there is this muscle of being there and welcoming what's happening in my life and embracing things, and that is so supportive. Not, I mean, let alone the community that people who are in this lifestyle together with all of us, and we support each other, we reach out to people, and what amazes me is how things fall into place. I just got a call this afternoon for a second opinion, towards the end of the month, to have a double check, and things just fall into place, and I'm just very, very, very grateful for that.
Well, we're happy for you.
Thank you.
I am happy for you, but I know Ariel is too. Happy for both you and Lutz.
And I also love that when you weren't feeling well about yourself and your thought process, you could bring it to Lutz. And I also see that, in my experience, you're not shy to bring it elsewhere. And when you say this community has a depth of compassion for each other that allows us to find our center quickly, even if we're suddenly subject to the junk drawer of our minds.
So true.
Yes. Thank you so much for
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, really a treat. If you would like to be a guest like Karen, you can go to transformationmadeeasy.com/being here and find out how. Also, wow, what an awesome conversation with both of these ladies. I really heard them listening to you, Shya, which is quite awesome. feel free to share this with folks. And I just want to invite you to come to our seminars. If you aren't already, try them out. They're wonderful. Seeing people's faces. I mean, we do this on Zoom with our cameras on so that we can see the lovely, lovely people we're speaking with. The Zoom seminars are like that as well. The in-person seminars are like that as well. Just inviting you.
You know, you don't know what you don't already know. Mm. So everything you do know is your universe, but there is a much greater possibility than you could imagine through what you already know. So come to our website, transformationmadeeasy.com, and easily discover that there's more to life than you knew.
You know, that includes being on our email list. If you're not on our email list, you were saying, Shya, you don't know what you don't know. I remember once our friend Amy, who owns Tag Online, who hosts our website. They created, hosted it. She was doing a talk for a women's society in New York City. And I'm like, I want to support her, and I'm going to go and I'm going to listen. And I went there for her. Mm-hmm. And while she was talking about different things, she talked about having an email list. And we'd had our website, I think, for decades, and we had no email list. It was a whole new idea. And I was like, we could use one of those. You know, sometimes being there for other people and really listening, you discover something really valuable for yourself. Anyway, that was my plug of Tag Online too. So thanks for being here today. Next week's podcast is skipping the whole Megillah. In case you're wondering what Megillah is, you can look it up. Or
that's what I did.
Yeah, it's Yiddish for like that whole long, complex story. Skipping the whole Megillah. We'll be back next week.
So come on back.
And don't miss
being here.